Zrcalo is a 34-year-old known for running the Transphobic L's Twitter account who recently caught themselves in a bit of a controversy, one that we'll go over later in the video. After surrounding myself with this situation and seeing what was going on, I decided to look into this person themselves and see what was up with them. After doing some digging around, I learned that Calo has a much deeper history full of manipulation and disturbing details one can only describe as utterly insane. When I say insane, I truly mean it, because I don't think I have ever had to bear witness to something so crazy in all my time on making videos on YouTube, and that's saying something given some of my past content on this channel. The rabbit hole we're about to go down together is one of, if not the deepest on the channel yet, but before our journey begins, let's hear a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. That's right, the Raid Shadow Legends, one of the most popular mobile games to ever grace our phone screens. People love this game, just check out the review scores. 4.5 out of 5 stars, 10 million downloads, graphics that rival mainstream titles on PC and console. This game ain't no ordinary mobile gaming experience, this is the mobile gaming experience. Hop onto Raid Shadow Legends, where you can kill time in a fun and productive way. Just choose from one of the many champions available, get your gear up, and start to go to town on the enemy factions and show them who's boss. Here's my top 3 reasons why this game is better than other mobile games. First, you can choose from up to 600 different champions, all with their own unique skills and abilities, and pair them together to create squads to tear through your enemies. Second, the gameplay is fun, smooth, and surprisingly challenging, meaning you can't just knock it off like nothing, and because of that, the game is always engaging to play at any moment of the day. And third, it's free. I don't gotta go much further than that. This month is huge for Raid, as they just released a brand new faction, the Sylvan Watchers, with a whole new slew of amazing champions for you guys to play. Better yet, there's a whole new lineup of events with the new season of the Forge Pass, where you can get some of the most powerful gear in the entire game. Also, Amazon Prime members get exclusive rewards along with this, no strings attached. For the next 30 days, new players will get $30 worth of bonuses, 200k silver, 1 energy refill, 1 XP boost, 1 ancient shard, and Aina, a free epic champion, but only if you click my link in the description below. Everything will be waiting for you guys in the game, and thank you Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. Zrcalo's internet history started off pretty normal. He would draw artwork for money in the furry fandom because that's what they do on that side of the internet. Unfortunately for us, some of that artwork was gore fetish artwork, and of course I can't show the bottom half to y'all, but let's just say there's a third party down there who's not exactly all together. I'm sure y'all can tell by the ketchup stains from their definite meal of burgers and fries, and his fascination with this kind of stuff goes as far back as 2007, when he made a bird taxidermy tutorial when he was around 19 years old, and even in 2009 after making YouTube videos using old science footage which shows a dog's head, that's right, just a dog's head, and another of a fox they taxidermied. Some old messages from a forum post in 2010 would come out, showing that at one point he planned on, well, you can tell by what the images on screen say pretty easily, and even joke around about what he wanted to do to him too, only making it much worse. We can already see that this person ain't exactly the most pleasant human being to exist, and in fact, they even scammed someone out of 15 bucks when selling art at a furry convention on October 28th, 2018. The person would leak the messages between the two, and after being led around for about 2 months they made a formal complaint in which Calo would say that because his cat got sick he screwed up his artwork process, then saying he won't be vending at the con anymore. He would even go on to straight up lie and say that he was the person who created the smile dog creepypasta image before being caught out on his shit and deleting the message. So, we can put together this person is definitely weird, and not no normal weird, but like really weird with interest in some pretty vile stuff, so normally things like this would be an open and closed case. We can also see he's a liar for what seems to be no other reason than trying to get internet clout, and he still likes to take things a step further, and in a direction that ain't exactly shocking, but still disturbing nonetheless. Calo will end up getting himself affiliated with the alt furry group sometime in late 2018. During his time with these people, he'd involve himself with popular alt furry places like the Furry Raiders in Xanadu, and would spread his own hatred around on both his main and alt account Blue Fox, becoming an admin in Xanadu in the process, further affiliating himself with people like Blamir, a straight up pedophile, and Foxler, this dude right here. After going through a couple of hateful posts from Calo like the ones you're seeing on screen, I pulled some strings and managed to get a hold of the Xanadu moderation chat itself, which doesn't really show much other than Calo being further affiliated with the chat, banning people for miscellaneous things. The 2018 Zoo sadism scandal would happen, and in doing so, a whole bunch of leaks that aren't important for this video would come out, like with Kira the Wolf for example, all from Akela, also known as Zoodonym, a zoophile themselves who originally leaked everything because they felt that Kira and the squad were worse than him, despite both parties being zoophiles. Soon after all this, Callo would start up a new Telegram channel with Akela called ZSIS in order to hunt down zoophiles with other people. Callo has admitted that Akela and him were the big bosses of the chat and has even implied there could be good zoos based on another message he sent. He would say he maintains alliances with zoophiles in order to get results for himself and has straight up said he knows there are zoophiles in the chat despite, apparently hunting these people down. Callo will even make a post on his Twitter account about how in times like these, people need to lay everything down and work together to expose these zoophiles. A noble message at first glance, only for it to come out later that Callo actually planned to use this situation to fuck around with the furry fandom and try to pit people against each other, which is beyond insane and hypocritical, all for the sake of internet clout and drama. These leaks would lead to more racist statements coming out, and in doing so end up getting kicked out of Arizona Telegram channels, in which he tried to make his own to circumvent and control the narrative, and would complain about one of the leakers making his friends cry after he got exposed for being an anti-Semitic manipulative piece of shit. Even as recent as 2020, Callo would try to imply that he was the one who led the investigation, before someone went on to remind him he used the chat to promote political gay ops, and that's not even mentioning again, he made a server with a known zoophile and teamed up with known zoophiles to get the info he wanted. Sometime at the beginning of 2022, Callo would put out an export of the ZSIS stuff that went down, basically trying to downplay some of the bad stuff he's done and said, saying it was Foxler who leaked the messages of him running political gay ops out of malice, and that they were actually trying to get people to not fight each other, when the message is the furthest thing from that. Some DM leaks of how he was such a good person for exposing a zoophile would come out, but he would then try to villainize someone for going AWOL for not wanting to affiliate with zoophiles and running these ops, which if you ask me, is a pretty damn good reason to get the hell out of Dodge. The whole export is him basically trying to show people he's actually a good person for exposing all these people, but fails to emphasize that he worked with known zoophiles to get said info in a group chat he made that he knew was full of them, which if you ask me, is pretty damn weird. On March 30th, 2021, the Twitter account Zoophile will make a call-out post on Blamir for grooming a 16-year-old. For some indiscernible reason that I can't figure out, Callo decided to start beef with the account, perhaps to protect his friend, perhaps for drama or clout, I have no idea. One of the mods of that account will come out about their own personal experience, and Callo will start to chastise them, saying how the therapy he was in didn't help him at all and only fucked him up even more, basically just being a condescending asshole. This beef will lead to a Google document from Zoostrugs going over everything we talked about already, including some new things as well. One of them is that when Zoostrugs put out a warning to stay away from a random degenerate person, Callo would send a reply showing that he DM'd the person themselves, trying to twist the narrative and say that Zoostrugs was sending people to them when that wasn't the case. In a live call, he would reiterate that once more as well.
Like that.
Did you look up this link? Did you go onto that chat?
Yeah.
Did you ask that person for? Did you?
Actually, DM'd them and said, "Hey,
you DM'd the person who disseminates this porn."
Yeah.
The end of the document threatens to dox Callo along with a leaked message basically saying the same exact thing, with Callo acknowledging that one of the mods who ran the account was a minor a few days later. It gets better though, as along with the ZSIS export I mentioned, he also made an official response to the claims of messaging a predator to epically own Zoostrugs. It turns out he actually faked the DMs and posted a video along with it showing him doing so, and still tries to run with the narrative that they were telling people how to contact them while trying to say that he was actually the good guy, trying to show how dangerous it all was. It's already obvious that Zoostrugs made this as a warning post and Callo was trying to twist the narrative around, and to see Callo try to manipulate the narrative further is honestly pathetic. Eventually, after all this goes down, Zoostrugs will shut down their Twitter account, and Callo would take the app once he was able to, basically taking over the account. Now, we can already tell that Callo is quite the individual with a pretty storied internet past. The furry gore stuff, the anti-Semitism, the zoophile Telegram chat, it's all some pretty crazy shit. Add the manipulation with the Zoostrug situation, and we have ourselves one of the most interesting people we've covered on this channel. Of course, most of this went under the radar given it was rather niche furry internet drama, and so Callo would go on with his life, starting a new Twitter account with some friends to entertain themselves and have a good time. Transphobic Els is a Twitter account started in June 2022, owned by Zrcalo and ran in tandem with 3 other people. Aya, an 18-year-old that goes by SharkMod, Els, a 16-year-old that goes by DogMod, MauiMod, whose age and identity is unknown, and of course Callo themselves, a 34-year-old that goes by AxeMod. The Twitter account wasn't anything particularly interesting, it would mainly just post transphobic people taking L's, hence the name. It would gain relative popularity in a short amount of time, at one point gaining upwards of over 50k followers in just a few months. However, this would be short-lived, as a controversy would come out and lead down an insane rabbit hole that nobody expected to go this deep. On October 29th, I would make a thread on his alt account about who they are as a sort of introduction for people, and in said thread he straight up says he's a zoophile. People put 2 and 2 together pretty quick, and so they started to demand the mods of Transphobic L's to drop this dude off the team, but instead of dropping him immediately once the news came out, an unknown mod would make a post saying that there are no zoophiles on the mod team, and block a bucket load of messages of people demanding Aya to be dropped. They would try to push through the controversy and post like normal, but people weren't letting it up at all, and so their follow numbers would start to drastically falter as time went on. Eventually, Callum made an official response, saying how they came from such a dark place, you know, a place of running and posting anti-Semitic trash, running a Telegram chat full of zoophiles, and faking DMs on someone who outed a predator they were affiliated with. Yeah, super dark place, all on his own accord. But it's okay guys, Shark Mod was now officially taken off the mod team, so all is good, right? Nope, and this is where I get involved, because let me tell you, the chain of events that led me to this story is a story in of itself. So, Aya is the person who leaked this DM back when I made my Hypnotist Sappho video showing she knew she was doxing a minor, and I messaged him after seeing that Sappho retweeted something of his and found it suspicious. As I was talking to him, for some reason my gut was telling me to look more into this guy, and so I found out he was the shark mod in question that's a zoophile. I had seen the drama already but hadn't dug into it yet, and when the pieces are put together, it all became pretty obvious. That's right, my leaker, someone who I worked with, is a zoophile. After getting over my initial shock, I started to bully him because I have no respect for zoophiles, and so he would wipe our Telegram chat because the app lets people clear DMs on both sides. He then, for what God knows what reason, started up a Twitter space, and so I joined in to listen to see what was going on. After hearing him deadass say this,
I do take precautions. I don't leave myself alone with an animal. I don't do that. I make sure I'm with someone, you know, as a precaution.
I knew I had to get myself back in all this, because there's no way in hell I'm gonna let people spew this bullshit around me, and so I got in and promptly started going at it.
How the f am I gonna be respectful to a zoophile?
Exactly, like what he said. Like, no one is gonna be respectful to elite, bruh.
Yeah. I know.
The problem is if we're not respectful, we aren't gonna get anywhere, and at that point, you're just be civil is all I'm asking.
I am being civil, but I'm not gonna sugarcoat what I'm trying to say. The dude is a zoophile. He said himself, like, what, 10 minutes ago? He's afraid of being around an animal alone. Anybody in here listening to this who has, like, a working brain understands this mother is, like, in the head right now.
Didn't say
like, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all.
Was uncomfortable.
I mean,
You said what?
Me personally, even though they claim to be anti-contact, I wouldn't trust them around an animal anyways.
And that's fine.
Exactly, bro.
I'm totally fine with that statement.
Dog, how are you fine with that? That means you're in the head.
Okay. Is this gonna be your rhetoric against me? I
mean, shit, it's working pretty well, so yeah. I mean, what the like what? Ooh, I'm epically owning you or whatever. You're a zoophile, bro.
Yeah,
okay.
Like, listen.
Like this.
Just please get help, bro.
I mean,
like, I don't know what else to say. You're acting like it's not a big deal. Like, oh well, you know, it's just a troll or whatever, bro. Oh, no, they're just being mean, bro. Or they're being rude to me, bro. You know, I may be a zoophile, but at least I'm not rude. That's the kind of shit I'm getting from you, bro. I mean, shit, yeah, like low key, yeah, I do hope he gets help, because I just see a lot of people hanging around these weird ass people on Twitter. It's like, damn, bro, just get off the internet, go get help before you end up like what's her name, Hypnotist Sappho or some shit, trying to date a 14-year-old or something.
Now I want to pause right here, because this person talking is Callow himself, and at the time I knew nothing about him. The only thing I knew was seeing his name brought up once or twice during the research for my Hypnotist Sappho video. He offers me info on Sappho, and then I tell him I heard his name around because I found it interesting to see him in this call.
But anyway,
ain't you got your own dirt?
Yeah.
I'm about to say, I've heard your name. I've heard your name somewhere. I don't remember. I have to look into you, because I've been seeing your name around whenever I dig into this side of the internet, whenever I make videos.
Time goes on, and he talks about how all these people are messed up on his side of the internet and how he fears for his privacy, and so I start to tell him that nobody here is his friend and he needs to stick out for himself.
These people aren't your friends, bro. I'm not your friend. Nobody in here is your friend. No offense, but nobody in here is your friend, bro. You gotta stick for yourself. If these people are f***ing you over, get yourself out of there.
I'm your friend.
Thank you.
What Callow said there really interested me, him being his friend and Aya thanking him back. It felt so strange, and so after saying my piece, I would leave the call and start to look into Callow more and see what's up. Lo and behold, I found something that don't exactly paint him in a very good light, and that's saying something given all we've gone over thus far. A Google Doc will come out showing that Callow, our owner of a Telegram channel that housed zoophiles so he can hunt them down, was a zoophile himself. Not shocking, but still disgusting. After skimming through the doc, I grabbed screenshots I wanted to talk about and rejoined the Twitter space later knowing I'd be let back in eventually because I wasn't rude to him earlier. Someone else managed to get ahead of me, and Callow's response to them exposing him live in the call was surely something to behold.
And then the seductive...
Can you send me that?
Pardon?
Can you send me this? Because I've not seen that.
Shit, I don't know how to... I'm on... I can send you a Google Drive, but then I have to go to my Twitter. Can you, like, DM me on Twitter? And I can do it on my computer?
Yeah, because I have not seen those logs. Oh, okay. Yeah, the Google Drive. Where is it in this? What is this? Holy mother of...
The whole convo would basically be Callow trying to be sneaky about it and imply their ex, Oliver, who was the one who initially exposed Naya Okami was dating Sappho, was faking some but not all the DMs, and after listening to all this manipulation, mental gymnastics, and lies, I was finally able to get back in the call and bully him like he deserves to be.
And I'm gonna go ahead and read a couple of things that, really spicing up the mood going on here. One of the things is that Carla has said, now, though, I only date people who know I'm a zoo. Carla. What?
We've already discussed that.
No, but there's more.
We've already discussed.
No, but there's more.
Yeah, I know there's more. So
it.
I want you to add. I want to ask you, where do I go from here?
I don't know.
If I have already denounced
this doesn't make you look very good. I only date people who know I'm a zoo. That was my mistake the other times. Also, one day you'll hear me rant about how I want to get by a dog. Wow.
So where do you want me to go from here?
For me, it's not really about the personality. It's about the animal. I can't really describe it past that.
Yeah, no, I don't like it.
Why'd you type it then?
I hate it.
You're trying to say, oh, where do I go from here when I'm reading all this shit that's dirt on you? I know you're just trying to fast forward it. What else?
No. Okay, let's go back because evidently you were not listening.
Obviously, I talked to many zoos on both of my accounts. It depends on how deep you want to dive. Both accounts, huh? Interesting.
You know what? No, I don't. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep fighting.
I have a folder, but it's just full of animals. Holy shit!
Already addressed that.
I want to get by a dog. What? I don't want to promote bestiality. Bestiality should be promoted. It should only be hush-hush between responsible individuals in a small community that can keep accountability. What? Holy shit. Wow. Of course, there's the lolly one that they mentioned. And then I just want a dog to me. Lol.
Lanza, I really forgot how I preferred Coyote Lovely over you. And this kind of reminds me why.
I'm going to let everybody in here listen to what the messages say before I go any further.
Okay.
Right now, Carlo has said a lot of really weird shit, and then they're trying to interrupt me while I'm reading it so they could defend themselves and be like, I don't remember sending that. What? Like, come on, man, really? This is from you, bro. You're saying the person who sent it is up? I don't care if they're up or not. I don't really care if you hate them or not. This shit that was sent is still that what you said. They said some weird shit too, but I don't care about that person. I care about you.
Back to the Google Doc, it had a multitude of interesting stuff in it, like Callow admitting he doesn't care about the victims or perpetrators so long as he gets his results, and how when Sappho was dating Kylo he didn't think a 4-year age gap was all that bad. Another has them admitting to defending Cub, and then adding it along with their known gore fetish. Remember that stuff with Zeus Drugs and how he harassed and made fake DMs and tried to pretend like he was on the higher ground? Turns out he actually did it on purpose to purely fuck with them, trying to lie and say that they were hurting others to justify it to himself, and it was all because it exposed his friend Blamir to their followers. It gets worse though, as it would turn out that Dan, one of the mods of Zeus Drugs, the 17-year-old minor that Callow referenced earlier, was doxxed by him and a group of people, with him clearly stating here in DMs between the two of them how exactly they did so, by looking at the email that made the Google Doc. Callow would send a screenshot of the group chat with the people, in which they would send a message clearly with the intent to get Dan to commit from all the harassment. Callow would joke about sending diapers in the mail to her house and how this harassment is driving her insane, and sure enough, Dan would get exactly that in the mail, along with a box showing off the Zeta symbol Zoo files latch onto. Callow would feign an apology to Dan that wasn't accepted, and rightfully so, and Dan would go in on him, showing how Callow was trying to slander her name and say she was distributing bestiality pictures to minors. Callow would ask how did he let predators hurt her, which is pretty easy to answer given he worked with them to get a minor's docs and fuck with their life for no discernible reason other than pure malice. Callow also tried to flip roles and imply that Dan isn't a victim straight to her face, which is absolutely insane and shows how manipulative this person is. Callow would defend himself by saying that back in August they got over their urges suddenly, and uses the example of how when they were in a house fire, he didn't think of saving his cats to really hammer in how little he cares for animals all of a sudden. Some more leaks will come out, this time of a group chat called ZapF, run by Callow, and has a multitude of zoo files in there chatting such as the admin himself, and interestingly enough, the current 14-year-old that Hypnotist Sappho is dating is in there as well. The leaks take place over a 10-day period between October 12th to October 22nd, 2022, and are mostly just people talking around about whatever the hell's going on, such as Callow and his multitude of pictures he took while selling stuff at a convention, Sappho herself, and the 14-year-old apparently having her phone number. I would admit he's easily manipulatable, yet hangs around these parts of the internet, and he states how he has influence and joined the staff team of another server he deemed would be potential trouble to keep tabs on them. The kind of humor that goes on in this chat is stuff like this, these, those, and this, all coming from others and are two adults, an 18-year-old and a whole ass 34-year-old. Speaking of Aya and Callow, they're currently dating each other, and in this post Callow forwarded to his art channel, he is well aware of the fact Aya recently turned 18 in September, meaning we got a grown-ass 34-year-old dating a freshly new 18-year-old. Their history goes a bit further though, as when given some leaked messages between the two dating back in July when Aya was still a minor, he and Callow were clearly talking about how he's getting closer to Sappho, even becoming an admin of the band Coyote Lovely channel we talked about in the Sappho video, saying how he needs to be careful to not get any Stockholm Syndrome going on, meaning he's well aware of what he's getting himself into. Callow says he'll watch over him, encouraging him to go further down this mess, with Aya saying he'll be risking his image to get close to her before talking about Coyote Lovely for a bit. Of course, it doesn't help that Aya would state he's a zoophile just a few days later, and an old reply back in April shows that Callow was well aware of one of Sappho's alt Twitter accounts before people put the pieces together because, making jokes with the known zoophile and pedo is an epic haha funny moment. The most ironic part about the two of them dating is that Callow can't even play the adult card, because when in a Twitter space with a 19-year-old, he specifically mentions how they're a teenager in his eyes, meaning by his own logic he views Aya as a teenager as well.
Gaz, how old are you?
I'm 19.
Oh, so you're a teenager too, got it. Oh my god, wow, the teenager is older than the other teenager. Oh wow, such a win, such an own. Oh my god, look, a year.
Callow has also gone on to try and manipulate not once, not twice, but 3 times recently. The first instance was with Twitter user Icy Dude and goes as follows. Icy Dude would report a post made on a Callow alt account, and in doing so the account would get suspended. Icy would post this publicly on Twitter, and then Callow would start to lose his mind on another account and start to spiral out of control. Callow would then message Icy a picture of his injured arm and start to berate him for getting his account banned, straight up calling him a supporter of kids stuff among other things. Callow would then block him, Icy would find the contact info of his parents and call them to make sure he's okay, also telling people affiliated with him that he's just making sure nothing drastic happens to show they weren't doing anything out of malice. Callow would unblock him, post and quickly delete Icy's docs, and so Icy would message him asking him what the hell he did that for, in which Callow would say that it was his team of people that did the doxing and not him, saying that he's better than Kiwi Farms, that his team doxed him before they figured out he actually cared, and that if he really was an asshole he would post the docs again, despite, hanging around people that dox others if they don't like him. The next time would be when Dan and Callow were speaking with each other, and Dan would bring up the fact he tried to do so in the DMs on the Zoophile Strugs alt account before, and after not falling for none of his bullshit, Callow would try again once more, with Dan standing her ground and telling him straight up she ain't falling for that. Now you may be thinking, why exactly are Dan and Callow talking with each other, especially after all that nasty stuff Callow did to her? Well, it turns out Dan was the one who gathered most of the dirt used in that Google document, and Callow was well aware of that before it was released, tweeting it out on his private account. Since Dan wasn't falling for any of that, Callow was forced to strike up a deal with her to try and silence her, mass deleting a whole boatload of posts he made on Transphobic L's, spreading around a Google document on her a friend made, a Google document that Callow used to call the police on her, causing her to have a massive panic attack, get her sent to the hospital, and get her prescribed Xanax just to calm her down. Yeah, fuck this piece of shit, I'm glad Dan exposed his ass for the world to see. So, after going all this information, there's gotta be something out there that gives us some kind of insight as to why Callow does all these things, right? Well, there is, as back on May 22nd earlier this year, Callow would get in a call with Coyote Lovely and some people I don't know after they were made aware of some of the stuff he'd done. They'll first talk about the Kiwi Farms thread made on him, then go on about some other miscellaneous stuff, and then finally get into why Callow took the Zoophile Strugs account if it had its image tainted by what he did to it beforehand, in which one of the chatters would get angry with his answer and cause Callow to cry.
Refuse to interact with the people accusing you on Kiwi Farms, even if you have damning evidence against them. Instead, you spam a link wherever people accuse you outside of Kiwi Farms, realizing literally nothing about the fact that this does not actually help your case. You interact with minors concerning topics, despite knowing the fact that your previous Zoophile Strugs account, under its previous owner, got in trouble for far worse actions, because you don't look at the optics of that. You're still operating Zoophile Strugs accounts, even though people are constantly accusing you of nonsense. For what purpose?
I really, really want persona pins.
This isn't.
I don't like I'm having a fun time!
I'm sorry.
This
I'm
is
really
not-
sorry.
I mean, this is
I'm not in the mood to joke! This isn't
This
funny!
isn't a joke.
What does the pins have anything to do with any of this?
I, for the first time in my life, found something that I liked.
So what is it like?
I'm trying to think. Sorry, I'm just crying.
Callow would then start to go on about how they took over the account not because he actually wanted to find justice or help anybody, but because he was banned from a furry pin making business after they saw his old messages and wanted to get back in undetected.
Pointing a finger at you. Your response was, I like pins.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, hold on. Hold
I
on.
mean, so what is the purpose of me running the Zoo Strugs?
Why did you even want it in the first place? It was the account that you were calling out for. Well, it was an account that you intentionally baited so that they'd misrepresent what you were saying. Why would you want an account that has like a reputation like that on top of that? I'd like you to answer Lio's question first, but it's just I don't know why you're operating an account that has such a tainted backstory.
I guess I'm not sure what else to do.
What does this have to do with pins?
Well, when I got banned from the persona pins for like being called an and everything, I told myself that that needs to change. Like I need to show people I'm a better person.
Well, yes, because apparently you associated with the Furry Raiders and you made artwork that's apparently similar to Tire, and I looked at that, I was like, so you're throwing guilt by association and you're pointing out his choice of art style,
I mean,
design, and character design. It's like, great job.
what am I supposed to do?
I laugh at them and make fun of them for being stupid.
But I got banned.
Do you think that if you run this account long enough that they'll let you back in the server?
Callow would cry a bit more, and things would wane off with it being clear he's not a very mentally mature person at all, and given all we've gone over in this video, that is by far the truth and then some. I can't say I feel an ounce of sympathy at all, because when adding it all together, all this running an anti-Zoophile account while being one himself, harassing someone who dared expose his friend to the point of doxing and sending stuff to their house, was all just to get back in the good graces of a furry pin making business. Insane. It's absolutely insane. We've already seen how he doesn't care about victims, and this call shows just how far he's willing to take his selfish desires, going as far to hide under a Twitter account that on the surface is for a noble cause, only to find out the person running it is one of the worst people I've ever seen on the internet. Once a clip of the video made it to the public, he decided he's gonna die on this hill that he started harassing people for years, all for fucking furry pins. I said at the beginning of this video that this was one of the deepest rabbit holes on the channel yet, but after going through all of it, I can safely say this is the deepest rabbit hole by far. Never have I ever seen such a vile human being whose degenerate internet presence spans over a decade and manages to check off all the tallies and then some. Callow, to put it simply, is straight up awful. The anti-Semitism, running a group chat full of zoophiles, harassing a 17-year-old for rightfully calling out your friend on Twitter, making jokes about the stuff you're sending to their house after getting their docs, getting exposed as a zoophile himself, having another group chat where you start dating a freshly new 18-year-old at 34 years of age. It's despicable, plain and simple. It's funny making this video, because I know Callow's gonna be pissed about all his shit finally catching up to him, and he's gonna go on to make lie after lie about me and anyone else who talks about this, because that's all who he is, a lying manipulative piece of shit. He surrounds himself with minors and yet doesn't give a shit about them. In fact, the reason he involves himself with minors so much is because they're young and don't know any better, as an adult will see right through him and figure out, wow, this person is to be avoided. Whenever people try to call him out on his shit, he'll either lie and manipulate the narrative, or straight up dox them in order to silence them. The fact he was forced into a deal with Dan shows he had no other options and nothing was working, and guess what? In the end, he got played, because Dan came out and exposed his ass to the world for everyone to see, along with every other post I found gathering together what he's done on the internet. The best part out of all this though is that the only people who will listen to him will be his little echo chamber of zoophile friends, as everyone else will rightfully call him out on his shit and what he's done or currently doing. These people are straight up fucking losers that go around LARPing as super serious predator hunters, when in reality, it's all one giant projection from people trying to hunt the very thing they are. The funny thing is that whenever people tell them they need proper help, they're gonna deflect and shut themselves out from those that don't support their mental illness and will subconsciously crawl further down this path they carved for themselves, with the mentality that people being mean to them is causing all this, when it's actually their egos that won't let them see they're the issue, not those being mean to them. There are many other people like Callow out and about, and as you guys have noticed, we had a couple notable crossover events like with Hypnotist Sappho being thrown in the mix. All these people fraternize and are all interconnected with each other, but one by one their shit is getting leaked into mainstream internet circles, and we can all sit back and enjoy watching them get what they deserve. It's been one hell of a video, and here's some advice for y'all. Don't involve yourself with this side of the internet. They are the worst degenerates I've ever seen. Just sit back and watch the fire blaze from afar.